So as someone who always likes to have the last word, I'm going to have to pass on that tonight. But there is a nice scrapbook on the back table that I thought I would draw your attention to as well. And I suppose the church in Greeley will probably be your last stop. I wish this was your last stop, because as I said earlier, I'm going to miss both of you very, very much. But I would like you to consider perhaps taking a church in Chicago at some point. Because some of you may not know, but right before Reverend Nate came here, he was in Arizona, and the Diamondbacks won the World Series. And while Reverend Nate has been here in the Bay Area, the Giants have won the World Series. Now that he's moving to Greeley, Colorado, I think the Rockies have a pretty good shot. I know there's at least 2 Cub fans here who would really like to see it. So, for the final word, Reverend Nate.
Roger, don't tell anyone from Greeley I came back from sabbatical to do a wedding. Boundary thing. Maybe one of the signs that it's time to go is I can't remember if I told a story. But it's about the woman who goes to the photographer, and I'm sorry if you've heard this, but she goes to the photographer to have her picture taken, and they set up this nice setting to have her picture taken, and the photographer takes dozens of poses and then invites her back and says, here are the proofs of your photographs, ma'am. And she looks them over, she studies them each, and she says, young man, these pictures, your camera does not do me justice. And the photographer says, madam, the camera always delivers justice. What you really need is mercy. Consider my presence here at this wonderful party an act of mercy. My presence here serving among you an act of mercy. Not long ago, Kathy Silker, our historian, how's the mood music working, okay? I asked our historian, Kathy Silker, asked all the clergy to fill out a form that says where we're from, where we served before, where we went to school, all those kinds of details, so that she would have a complete biography of each of us. And then there's a section we got to fill out, what has happened of significance while we're here, so I dutifully filled that in. Just this afternoon, I sent that form to her, but there was a last section that says something like events of significance after they leave San Jose. So I filled that in for her. And I thought you'd be interested in what goes on. So Reverend Miller's start at Greeley Congregational Church was a rocky one. I'll wait. It was a rocky one mostly because he began nearly every paragraph with the phrase, here's what we did in San Jose. He soon changed his approach, and the church flourished under his care and leadership. In 2019, he made an unsuccessful bid for the presidency of the United Church of Christ. The chief plank in his platform was to move the headquarters from Cleveland to Carmel, which was surprisingly popular. But he could not withstand the scandal created when it was alleged that in 2007 he used a BB gun to shoot down a Mylar balloon stuck at the very top of the San Jose sanctuary, while never publicly confirming or denying the charge. He was undone by his own pride when he confided to a friend, "It took only one shot." The only witness to the incident was the Reverend Dawn Grace Peters, who until this very day has declined comment. Where are you? I release you from your silence. Reverend Miller was awarded the newly created Nobel Prize for pretty good guy who could light the ovens for Women's Fellowship, repair the church phone system, relight the boiler on cold winter mornings, and preach a passable sermon from time to time. It was a great disappointment that he could not attend the awards ceremony owing to an infected toe, which he stuck while preparing for a barefoot marathon. Critics pointed out it was highly unlikely he would ever even finish a marathon, since his longest run to date was 6 miles, and that was with shoes. In an unprecedented move, he was beatified in 2109 by the first female pope, Priscilla Teresa I, who was called Marge by most at the Vatican. Saint Nate will be remembered through the ages as being the catalyst for the miracle of the multiplying ping pong ball. Legend has it that from one ping pong ball, many appeared as if by miracle, bouncing all around the chancel of the San Jose sanctuary. During the 22nd century, the church was inundated by pilgrims, particularly professional ping pong players. Details of the miracle are murky, including the date. While the Weidman School puts it at late 2004, many scholars insist that he hadn't the wherewithal for such a miracle until early 2005. The hearings were controversial and hotly contested. Crucial was the testimony of former President of the United States, Evan Link. I hope he's in, there he is. Who was that church's youngest moderator ever. He was still a member of the congregation at the age of 111. He took the stand, saying, "It could have happened that way. I didn't pay much attention, actually, because I was busy checking out the lights in front of the Dasso clock behind the altar that day." But there were a lot of ping pong balls bouncing around. Another centenarian and former historian of that church, Alana Silker Warner, insisted there was no miracle because neither her grandmother, Kathleen Silker, nor the church clerk, Eileen Daly, noted it in any of their records. Said Ms. Silker Warner, "They didn't miss a thing. It sounds more like a botched children's sermon to me." The Vatican dismissed her claims as Protestant sour grapes. Church officials took an extraordinary step when they used a Ouija board to contact the departed spirits of Reverend Dawn Grace Peters and Reverend Jack Michael. In a brief appearance of the ghost of Reverend Dawn, she provided only the comforting admonition, let's all just take a moment to breathe. Reverend Jack Spirit was equally unhelpful. I wasn't even there. Though he was hospitable. Would you like a cup of tea? Reverend Miller was bitterly disappointed not to be taken up with the saints during the rapture scheduled for May 21st, 2011. Again, in 2013, he failed to make the grade on the famous second chance rapture in late August. Subsequent end-of-the-world raptures passed over St. Nate in 2015, 2016, and the much-celebrated Last Chance End-of-the-World Rapture Tour of 2022. Detractors point out that Reverend Miller obviously had too much time on his hands. When asked about this very late in his career, he would not comment except to say, don't bother me, I am translating Monty Python and the Holy Grail into alfalfa language. That would be Malfonte Pal Python and the Hal Holy Grail fail. Well, what is your foul favorite Cal Fuller, okay? Please pass me a brownie on your way out. It was actually my plan to play that 500 miles dance and do that, but you guys already did it. It was so much fun. I have more goodbying to do tomorrow in church, so I'm going to keep the rest of this very brief. It has been truly a blessing to work with such a faithful, dedicated staff who are also my friends. For the lay leadership all these years, to see the moderators up here was just such a treat. And all of you, if we'd been doing these potlucks every month, I'd have left later. Thank you so much. We have been blessed. And I'll say all the rest of the stuff tomorrow. Good evening and thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Eileen and myself. So I'll take that as an encore. I have another set. I don't really. Does anyone dismiss us? Do we? Dessert. Yes, sir. Do I invite people for dessert?
I want you to have the last word.
Huh?
I want you to have the last word.
The last words. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, sit down. Because I want to get at a table for all of you. Beloved, enjoy each other's company around the tables still. May the sweets make us sleepy. And go in peace, embraced by God's love.